Balaba Girivadidari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivadidari Yasaranandana Prajajanarandana Yasoranandana Prajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Konja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Konja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Siddhasi Simad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Siddhasi Simad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Brihat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Prasadam Distribution Ki New Dwarka Dham Ki Shishi Gorni Tai Ki Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Deva Ki Shishi Rukmini Dwarkadisha Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Daigora Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, entitled Brahma, Stealing the Boys and Calves. This is text number 39. Nate Suresha Shayo Na Chete Tvam Eva Basisha Vid Ashraye Pi Sarvam Pratak Tvam Nigamat Katam Vadite Uktena Vriktam Prabhuna Balo Avet Nate Suresha Rishayo Nachat Chete Tameva Basisha Bid Ashrepi Sarvam Pritaktvam Nigamat Katam Vajate Vajtai Uktena Vriktam Prabhuna Balovait Nete Suresha Rishayo Nachete Tvameva Bashi Sisha Bid Ashrayepi Sarvam Pritaktvam Nigamat Kitam Vajati Uktena Vriktam Prabhuno Balovait. Someone else, please. Ladies, please. Na, not. Ete, these boys. Sura Isha, the best of the demigods. Rishaya, great sages. Na, not. Cha, and. Ete, these calves. Tvam, you. Krishna. Eva, alone. Vasi, are manifesting. Isha, O Supreme Controller. Brit Ashrayai, in the existence of the varieties of difference. Api, even. Sarvam, everything. Pratak, existing. Tvam, you. Krishna, Nigamat, briefly. Katam, how. Vada, please explain. Iti, thus. Uktena, having been requested by Baladev. Vritam, the situation. Prabhuna, having been explained by Lord Krishna. Baladev. Aved, understood. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Baladev said, O Supreme Controller, these boys are not great demigods, as I previously thought, nor are these calves great sages like Narada. Now I can see that you alone are manifesting yourself in all varieties of difference. Although one, you are existing in the different forms of the calves and boys. Please briefly explain this to me. Having thus been requested by Lord Baladev, Krishna explained the whole situation, and Baladev understood it. Purport. Inquiring from Krishna about the actual situation, Lord Balaram said, My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these calves, and cowherd boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods. But at the present it appears that they are actually your expansions. They are all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and cows and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and cows and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause? At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation. How the calves and boys were stolen by Brahma, and how he was concealing the incident by expanding himself so that people would not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. Balaram understood, therefore, that this was not Maya, but Krishna's opulence. Krishna has all opulences, and this was but another opulence of Krishna. At first, Lord Balaram said, I thought that these boys and calves were a display of the power of great sages like Narada. But now I see that all these boys and calves are you. After inquiring from Krishna, Lord Balaram understood that Krishna himself had become many, that the Lord can do this, is stated in the Brahma Samhita. Advaitam Achyutam Anandam Anantarupam. Although he is one, he can expand himself in so many forms. According to the Vedic version, Ekam Bahu Syam, he can expand himself into many thousands and millions, but still remain one. In that sense, everything is spiritual because everything is an expansion of Krishna. That is, everything is an expansion either of Krishna himself or of his potency. Because the potency is non-different from the potency and the potent are one. Shakti Matur Abheda. The Mayavadis, however, say Chid Achit Samavaya. Spirit and matter are one. This is a wrong conception. Spirit, Chit, is different from matter, Achit, as explained by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse 4 and 5. Bhumir apo nolovayu kam mono buddhir evacha ahankara itiam me vina prakritir astada aparenyam itastvayam prakritim vidim me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. But besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mine, which consists of all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. That's the ends of the translation of those 2 verses. Spirit and matter cannot be made one, for actually they are superior and inferior energies. Yet the Mayavadis or Advaitavadis try to make them one. This is wrong. Although spirit and matter ultimately come from the same one source, they cannot be made one. For example, there are many things that come from our bodies, but although they come from the same source, they cannot be made one. We should be careful to note that although the Supreme Source is one, the emanations from this source should be separately regarded as inferior and superior. The difference between the Mayavadis and Vaishnava philosophies is that the Vaishnava philosophies recognizes the fact, I'll read that sentence again. The difference between the Mayavada and Vaishnava philosophies is that the Vaishnava philosophy recognizes this fact. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, therefore, is called the Chincha simultaneously one and difference. For example, fire and heat cannot be separated, for where there is fire, there is heat. And where there is heat, there is fire. Nonetheless, we cannot touch fire. Heat we can tolerate, Therefore, although they are one, they are different. Om Gyanantimanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It's quite amazing how Srila Prabhupada, if you can imagine, here in Vrindavan, he's at the final chapter of his life. And here, Srila Prabhupada is still preaching very strongly. Srila Prabhupada is still translating and still speaking very long purports. And you would never know, just by reading this, the external state of being. But Srila Prabhupada is in total ecstasy here. He is empowered by Krishna. And everything is coming from Krishna. As we know in the Bhagavad Gita, everything comes from Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. Not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's authority. So we can see how the Krishna consciousness movement has spread worldwide. We can see how nicely things are progressing. Krishna wants all of this. And if we become more, as we become more and more qualified, we'll be able to do more and more to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. How many days did Srila Prabhupada say that if we were pure enough, or if we were qualified, was it 18 days? Excuse me? 7 days, okay. That we would be able to take over. The Krishna consciousness movement could take over the whole world. That's quite amazing. So we have different energies that we're dealing with here in the material world. We have the spiritual energy, and we have the material energy. We can see this morning at this Guru Puja that Advaita Prabhu led, we were all really feeling that ecstatic spiritual energy. Everyone was ecstatic. It's a great way to wake up in the morning. Sometimes in speaking with people, I'll hear them say, well, I'm not a morning person. It's hard for me to wake up. It takes me a long time to wake up. Well, just come to one of the kirtans. So here, in this purport, Lord Baladev says, O Supreme Controller, look what Krishna did. He takes away all the calves and the cows. He replaces all the calves and the cows. It's amazing what Krishna can do. And sometimes, many times, a lot of times, it's totally beyond our imagination how Krishna can do such amazing things. But as we progress in Krishna consciousness, little by little, Krishna will give us those realizations. Things will become more will become more apparent to us. There's that wonderful chapter in Krishna book called Wonderful Krishna. And in there, Srila Prabhupada is speaking little parts of all the some different wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Look at all the wonderful things that Krishna can do. And just imagine this. You go out into the mountains, or you look east of here, and you see the wonderful mountain ranges that are there. Or you see mountains on the East Coast, and sometimes everything is green, and then imagine what it's like in the fall. Krishna is the most amazing artist. The trees, they all change colors. That's Krishna doing that. The ocean to the west of us. Look at the ocean. All the waves of the ocean. That's Krishna. Krishna did that. Beautiful landscapes. But we can't imagine, what is it like in the spiritual world? We can see paintings, and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada said these are windows to the spiritual world. But Krishna is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha. Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the source of Lakshmi coming to us. But if we don't engage in Krishna consciousness, then Krishna can do other things. Krishna can put people in miserable states of condition, make them very unhappy. But Krishna is fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. So if we have a desire to remember Krishna, and we're trying to remember Krishna, then Krishna will give us that ability to remember him. If we want to forget Krishna, Krishna will give us that ability to forget him. He's fulfilling everyone's desire. I remember once, I'll tell one of my family stories. I remember once my cousin, because this was all like within a very short period of time. I had a cousin that was a fireman in the World Trade Center in New York when the buildings came down. Then my uncle, or my cousin's father, passed away on his birthday. Very shortly after that, my aunt or my cousin's or my cousin's mother or my uncle's mother, she passed away. So one of my living cousins, he stopped believing that God exists. And actually the family, they're in an uproar. They were blaming God for so much misery. And if there's a God, why would you do this to us? We're great people. We're wonderful people. We believe in you. But Krishna, being the supreme controller, is teaching everyone a lesson. And so if we try to enjoy separately, if we try to take what is Krishna's, if we try to take what is owned by Krishna, and Krishna is the other energy, his material energy, the inferior energy. If you're going to dabble with that, if you're going to try to enjoy that, then this is what the results, these are the results. Now we understand that life in the material world is challenging. But here in Krishna consciousness, we can understand more and more that Krishna is controlling everything. And even if we're experiencing some setback or some pain or some anxiety, we understand where it's coming from, and we also understand that Krishna can totally relieve all of that. Just like seeing Srila Prabhupada translating hearing Srila Prabhupada translating this final chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam and the final verses. Srila Prabhupada understood that Krishna was totally in control of everything. And Srila Prabhupada showed us how to leave this world. The final instruction. And he did it so perfectly. And look what Srila Prabhupada did in such a short period of time. Even we heard it said during the Srila Prabhupada festival, I believe it was, we were watching or listening to class here. I think it was on the Saturday of the Srila Prabhupada festival. But I had heard Srila Prabhupada say that he felt that he had wasted time. And it wasn't until much later in his life that he took up the instruction of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. When he had gotten this instruction when he was much younger, Srila Prabhupada got that instruction when he was much younger. But it was a lifetime in preparation. And within such a short period of time, traveled the world so many times, established so many temples, translated so many books. You can just imagine how many hours that Srila Prabhupada spent up in the quarters up here. Right up here. We've all been there before. Just imagine Srila Prabhupada sleeping very little and then getting up and coming and translating, having his dictaphone and translating. And now, by his books, we're able to have wonderful association. And even in Vrindavan in October of 1977, Srila Prabhupada said that we have to, our association, I'm paraphrasing this point, but Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing the importance of association, how important association is. As I would say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Well, you can always tell a person how they are by the association that they keep. And it's incredible how by nice association it pulls us up. Look at this morning's Mangal Artik. Look at this morning's Guru Puja. The association of all the wonderful Vaishnavas here. And looking around, and I saw so many smiling faces and people dancing. Very ecstatic. So this association pulls us up. So it was important to associate with Srila Prabhupada through his books. It's important to follow those instructions. It's important to associate with the devotees right here. We develop faith by that. But Krishna is in control of everything. I'm going to take that today as something that I want to remember from Bhagavatam class. That Krishna is the supreme controller. And whatever happens, it's because this is what Krishna wants. So look what Krishna did with this pastime. It's totally amazing. And think about what Krishna did in other pastimes as well. Dancing on Kaliya's head. Agasura. Okay. Think about that pastime. So many wonderful pastimes of Krishna. And think about the spiritual world and how it's available to everyone. And as I was thinking this morning as Savas Prabhu was reading the book scores for last week, I was trying to figure out, okay, how many total books went out, or how many people actually received Srila Prabhupada's books last week. Or even do the totals. We look to your left, we have the book totals. Think about how these books are going around the world. That's something when we used to distribute books back in the airports in New York City, or when we would distribute books here at LAX. People would take these books, and these books, they were going around the world. And who knew where they were ending up, on whose bookshelf? I was speaking to one person the other day who we're working an event, our entertainment company, we're working an event, and she happens to run the event. And I've known her for some time. So she spent some time speaking with me on the phone, wanting to get to know me a little better. And I told her I'm a vegetarian. She said, "You're a vegetarian." She said, "Have you ever heard of Govinda?" I said, "Have I ever heard of Govindas?" Oh, she said, "Oh, there's more than one Govindas?" I said, "Well, actually, there is more than one Govindas, but the name of the restaurant is called Govindas." And I said, "Yes, and I've been there many times." And I said, "Well, I asked her, well, when did you used to go?" She goes, "I used to go all the time." I said, "What made you stop?" She said, "Somebody gave me a book." I said, "What was the name of the book?" She said, "The Higher Taste." Now, she still doesn't know I'm a devotee. I said, so why, if you got the higher taste, why wouldn't you come here? And she lived a bit of a distance from here. She says, "Because now I cook regularly from the higher taste." And then I told her I was a devotee, that I actually live across the street from the temple. So we got into a whole conversation about that. Now she wants to come back to the restaurant. So, we never know. We never know. And it's really ecstatic to tell people what we do. As much as possible, when you go out dressed as a devotee. Let people know that you're a devotee. Because that's preaching. So anyway, this is a very long purport, and Srila Prabhupada has said it so perfectly. And we can actually speak quite extensively on this purport. However, time doesn't permit. So it's 8:17. I thought we can just take a few moments if anybody has any questions, anything that they would like to ask. I see the hands going up. If you can just get that microphone, please. No, it's the other microphone.
Thank you for the nice class.
Jai.
You mentioned in the beginning of the class, you quoted how Srila Prabhupada said that if we were pure enough and sincere enough, then we can take over the world in a few days. But it seems now that we have many qualified devotees that are very sincere, so why it doesn't seem like it's happening on a big scale. So can you explain that?
We need more. It's a big responsibility. Can you imagine taking over the world? That's a big responsibility. However, I even have heard some people say at different times, they would see us everywhere. They would see the devotees everywhere. And I remember hearing some people saying, like, you guys are taking over the world. Everywhere I go, I see you. I'm not exactly sure when we speak about, taking over the world, what Srila Prabhupada meant, completely by that. But if you look at Krishna consciousness where it was, say when Srila Prabhupada first started preaching and distributing his back to Godhead, and now you see where it is, where Krishna consciousness is. You can see certainly that it's more prominent everywhere. Okay, so Archita Prabhu and also Savas Prabhu, I want to hear what you have to say.
Hare Krishna. The task is very, very clear, defined. Prabhupada had many conversations on this topic. The Battle of Kurukshetra was fought to establish devotees as leaders, the political leaders of the world. That was the point. The Kurus were not being devotees, but they wanted to lead the world, and the Pandavas were devotees, and Krishna wanted them to lead the world. So that's our mission. Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, is actually meant for that class of people, the class of people who are ruling the world. Of course, this applies to everybody, but it's specifically meant for the Rajarshis, for people putting a head on top of everything, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. So, but he also said, in this day and age, because of democracy being prevalent, even if you became the leader, if the people are not into what you're presenting, then you're not going to last very long. So he said you have to start on the bottom. It has to be a grassroots, bottom-up type of takeover. It can't be just let some or other get Trump out and put Savas there and everything will be... No, then they will be railing against Savas every day instead of railing against Trump. So it has to work from the bottom up. You have to spread this teachings of Krishna consciousness to the public, which is what we're doing. And it's a lifetime after lifetime type of thing. It's not going to happen necessarily in our lifetime, but gradually more and more higher conscious people will take birth and they will demand better leaders. That's how it works.
You had something you wanted to say, right, Prabhu? Okay.
I think that Prabhupada also meant that it'd be a cultural conquest. In other words, taking over the world doesn't mean you just come in and pull a coup, but it's culturally conquesting. We can see that just by the fact of the language, karma, reincarnation. Those are mainstay type of language. Guru, that's main stage, in the world practically. And not only that, but just by the way that you said this girl got a higher taste cookbook and she now became vegetarian. And we know that at least in Southern California, it's the premier place in America for veganism. So that's amazing because before Srila Prabhupada came, vegetarianism was a very rare understanding, very rare. So from that particular point to this point, now we see people are even doing things more austere than the devotees. They don't even want to drink milk. And we do. At least I do, I should say. But point being is that culturally speaking, the Hare Krishna movement has created a revolution. All these things are coming about because Srila Prabhupada introduced them in the Western country. And by the service of book distribution, by our festivals, by making devotees, that the world is being changed. There's so many devotees now that don't live in a temple. Just because you don't see 500 people in a temple room doesn't mean that there's more than 500 devotees just in the city, or maybe not too far from this particular area. So there's devotees everywhere. You know that sometimes you go out and you don't look like a devotee and somebody will walk by and say, Haribo. They go, oh my God, who are you? Where are you from? So devotees are everywhere. Even if you want to get away from devotees, you can't. You can't. They'll find you. So culturally speaking, we are conquering. It is happening. Look at Russia. In Russia, the Hare Krishna movement was the fastest growing religion in that country. And it still is. So it is happening. Maybe not as fast as we'd like to see it happen. But the whole point is that you take over by cultural conquest. That's very important. Just like the Christians took over the world by cultural conquest. They sent out their preachers everywhere, so we're doing the same thing. Cultural conquest, ki jai.
Jai. I actually, there's somebody, he lives down the street now. He saw me in Culver City. He would notice that I was wearing neck beads, so he knew I was a Hare Krishna, but he wouldn't see me, well, maybe he saw me dressed like this, but now he passes by the temple every day, and he sees me out in front. And so he said, I always knew you were a Hare Krishna. I said, how did you know? He says, because of your neck beads. Did any of the ladies have anything they wanted to say or question or something? Yes, and Prabhu, I know you wanted to say something, but I wanted to... Yes, Kurunadarni Mataji.
Thank you for a nice class.
Thank you.
I was thinking, if I think about the time when I first started distributing books, and I think about the reception that we get now when we go out to distribute books, it's really so different. There are so many people that are like comeback customers, return customers, and who are looking for us. So it takes, I don't mean to say that that Kirtan Ananda Kirtan is young, but he is. He hasn't had a lifetime. It's a small thing, but if you do this for a lifetime, then at the end of your life you actually see that what you did made a difference. But it takes some years that you actually start to see, oh yeah, things really have changed culturally. And then one other thing I wanted to say is that Krishna consciousness is an undeniable feature of every living being. So whether we make a big splash or not, it's still going to go on because it's intrinsic to every creature on earth, that every soul is a Krishna devotee.
Jai, well said. Thank you very much. You want to add something, Prabhu? It is 8:25. I want to make sure we give everyone enough time to get to prasadam.
Yeah,
So-
at one point you mentioned that whatever
If you have to leave, please, it's okay.
whatever happens is what Krishna wants. You said that. Do you meant to say whatever happened in the history of the book or in devotees' lives? Because if it's like that, then there were we went through so many legal issues and so many problems that devotees do, and if somebody says, oh, that's what Krishna wants, can you make the distinction? Or can you explain?
That we could have a nice discussion on this. However, living in the material world is a challenge, and we as devotees, we also have to live up to, and we have to live up to a certain level. If we don't, if we're not careful, or due to karma, we could get something. We could get a slap in the face. It happens. It's happened to different devotees, who externally it appears that something shouldn't have happened to them, but it did. But we only got a little bit of what we really deserved. Anyway, that's kind of a long and short. We don't really have a lot of time to speak on that. You okay with that? Yeah. All right. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class, and especially everyone who's listening on the internet. I hope you all have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness, and thanks for being here. Hare Krishna.